Welcome! We are excited to introduce our new product, the Unit Data Manager. Throughout the demonstration today, you will hear me refer to the application by the acronym UDM. As we move through the topics, we suggest that you jot down any questions you may have and email them to central support at pcrb.com. The Unit Data Manager, UDM, is our new web application for the entry, edit, submission, and management of unit statistical information. In UDM, you can import and export WC stat files, search, view, edit, create, and submit USR transactions or corrections, validate USR transactions in real time, and view and export validation results in various formats. UDM is the companion product to PDM, our Policy Data Manager, that was released in 2015. Both products have a similar look and feel, and more importantly, the ability to toggle between the two. UDM has been loaded with the history of USR transactions dating back to 2010. Let's get started. UDM is housed on our website at pcrb.com and dcrb.com within the application login. In order to access the application, you will need access to the internet and will also need a username and password for the application login if you do not already have one. Upon release of UDM, access to the application was given to each carrier group administrator, also known as the CGA, and also any current users of USR Online. If you do not see Unit Data Manager listed as one of your available products under Data Management Applications, you will need to request access to the application. To do this, go to the top toolbar and click on Request Access from the drop-down. Then select To Application. On this screen, you will see Unit Data Manager. We won't see this on our screen now because we have already been given access to the application. Check the box next to Unit Data Manager and select Request. This will notify your CGA that you are interested in using the application so that they can approve your request. Once you have access to UDM, select Unit Data Manager to launch the application. UDM was designed with an intuitive user interface that makes it easy to create, validate, and submit USRs. Check the status of USRs that have been submitted and review and correct errors. We will provide you with a brief overview of the interface and explain some rules about navigating in UDM. Each of the individual navigation menus will be described in more detail later on in the demo. If you have access to both PDM and UDM, you can easily toggle between the two applications. On the home screen, you will notice that if you select the UDM title, a menu will display including both UDM and PDM links. Select either application name to launch. This allows you to easily toggle between UDM and PDM with one click. If you are not authorized for access to PDM, only the UDM title will be displayed. After launching UDM, the first screen that appears for all users is the Quick Find screen. Let's pause a moment as I bring your attention over to the right side of the page. Throughout UDM, we have placed these sidebar notes, which are full of helpful tips to help you with your submissions. These notes can be hidden or shut off completely. You can manage the sidebar notes within Preferences, found in the Help menu. The Quick Find page allows you to run a quick search for units using only file number, policy number, or WC stat link. You may not recognize the WC stat link. This field is used by the Bureau to identify each unique USR in our internal databases. When a search is executed, all USR records matching the entered criteria will be returned and will contain a policy number hyperlink, which will take you to the most recent USR. Also on the Quick Find page is a listing of critical review counts for the last 90 days for your carrier group. The carriers displayed are based on the authorized carriers associated with the user that is currently logged in. The state, carrier name, NCCI carrier number, total transactions, number of critical errors, and percentage of critical errors will display. The carrier name functions as a hyperlink that, when selected, will bring you to a listing of rejected USRs for the last 90 days for that carrier. If you have navigated off of the Quick Find screen, you can get back to this screen at any time by selecting the home icon beside the UDM title. Let us begin with the basics on how to use the search. To access the search area, select Search and then Units from the main toolbar. To search for USR information, use the fields on this page to narrow down your results. For example, you may wish to view all USRs for just one carrier within your group. Use the carrier dropdown to filter the results. For these entry fields, you may either type in the data or use the dropdown. After selecting Search, the results will return up to 50 of the most recent USRs on file. You can expand the maximum results displayed up to 200. However, this would be a very broad search, so you may want to enter additional search criteria to further limit your results. Note that searches cannot be performed on file search criteria alone. These are the fields found on the far right of the search screen. If you attempt to do this, you will receive a message to limit your search with additional criteria. Here are some tips for utilizing the search page in UDM. There are two types of status dropdowns with which you can filter your results: UDM status and review. UDM status shows the stages a USR can be in. A USR is first saved and then it must be validated before being submitted and processed. A USR would be labeled as suspended when a USR does not have a file number. Bureau staff will need to investigate further before the USR can be ready for processing. The review dropdown shows the severity of the error. All USRs with critical errors will be rejected and considered missing for unit find purposes. One important note: the UDM status and review for USRs received prior to October 1st is determined by our legacy systems unit review process. Beginning October 1st, the UDM status and review for USRs is determined by the validation done by UDM in conjunction with the UDM edit matrix. This would explain how a USR submitted prior to October 1st could show as accepted with critical errors. After October 1st, a USR with critical errors would be rejected. Another useful search tool is the ability to search by review error, which is the error code. As already mentioned, since review error is part of the file search criteria, you will need to limit your search with additional criteria. Due to the real-time editing feature, USR search results may be out of sync with the review status on the USR detail screen. The search results are displayed using the information from the last time the USR was validated. However, when you open and view the USR, it is revalidated at that time. Therefore, if new information has been received to validate, such as changes to carrier rating values, prior reporting levels or policy changes, or if changes are made to the UDM application itself, the review status may possibly change. Once you have your desired search results, there are some options to how you can view the data on the lower half of the screen. When the Show Most Recent Only box is selected, the search results will be limited to the most recent USR for each report level. If you have submitted a 10, 11, and 12 report, and this box is selected, only the 12 will be shown. To open and view the USR, select the magnifying glass icon. Once you have opened a USR, you can quickly return to your search results by selecting the results link located at the top left. If you hover your mouse over the information icon located in the review column, you will see a brief excerpt of the errors on that USR. One final search tool that we think will be very useful for tracking USR submissions can be found using the Reports Due search criteria. The two options are USRs that are currently due to be reported or those that are overdue. The search results can also be used to begin the process of creating these reports. Remember, all other types of searches use the magnifying glass to open a USR. This functionality changes when the search results are displayed for due to be reported or overdue. Here, the magnifying glass can be used as a shortcut to create these USRs. Later in the demo, we will discuss a second option and more detailed information on how to create USRs. We will now return to our carrier search. Below the search results area, you will notice several options available. To use one of these tools, check off the boxes next to the USRs you would like to include. Or use the box at the top of the search results to select all. Then select the desired action. Regarding the delete functionality, keep in mind that once a USR is processed, you will no longer be able to delete it. The remaining buttons address viewing USR errors. As previously announced in Circular 1696, we have discontinued all hard copy criticism letters as of October 1st, 2018. So in the next part of the demo, we will be going over a few of the ways that you can access your USR data validation results. We wanted UDM to be flexible and meet everyone's needs. We understand that carriers consume criticism in different ways, so we have tried to provide as many options as possible. Once you have the search results, there are 3 viewing options. The Excel file works well for those that prefer to work from a control list. The data can be sorted and divided as needed. The WC stat file allows you to export the selected transactions into a flat file layout that can be reloaded into your own carrier systems. The WC crit file is a useful tool for those carriers that have built their own crit viewers and also for those who are interested in viewing and printing criticism letters under our WC crit viewer. The WC Crit Viewer is an application that is available as a download from within UDM. This application will translate any WC Crit file that is exported and saved from UDM and create criticism letters in an Adobe PDF format. The link to download the viewer is found at the bottom of the search screen. After you download the viewer to your computer, you will be able to quickly and easily convert your WC Crit files into letters, which can then be distributed. Also, for those who would prefer to work with their validation results in batches, there are several options. These batched results can be found within the Submit, Import, and Report menus. Finally, you can pick up your WSecret files in CDX by registering with both the PCRB and CDX to receive your WSecret files by way of FTP. Once the service with the PCRB and CDX has been established, you can pick up your WSecret files in CDX within several days of submission. To review all your options for receiving data validation, refer to the validation guide found on our website at pcrb.com on the data reporting page. Now let's take a look at how to create a new USR. Select the Create USR menu option and select New Report. Enter the required fields to begin creating your new USR. UDM searches for a matching policy which already exists, and the available report level and correction sequence number options will be shown for you to select. Once you make your choices, select the Create a New USR button to proceed. And UDM will take you to the USR details screen. Let's first get familiar with the layout of the USR in UDM. The top section contains the policy and USR key fields. This information is pre-populated with data from PDM and any previous USRs. Where appropriate, you may still edit some of these fields if there was an input error. To the right, you will see report history. This box displays a sequential history of each USR that exists for this policy term. Below, there is also a History tab, which displays all the USRs received for all policies associated with the file number. Now let's look at the other tabs. You will see that the USR is broken out into different tabs, corresponding to the WC stat records of the USR. Just select each tab to navigate to the desired section. To update data on these tabs, select the corresponding edit buttons within each page. Since we're creating a second report, we will not be able to edit or add any exposure records, so we will skip over that tab for now and move on to the Losses tab. Here we may edit previously reported losses or add additional losses. It should be noted that UDM creates the reflected previous and revised records for each claim by copying the values from the prior USR. If necessary, you can search for a loss by the claim number, class code, or claim status. Below the list of claims, you will see a Show dropdown with 3 options. Current Revised will show all revised records reported on this particular USR. All Revised will show cumulative revised records from every report. Previous and Revised will show the previous and revised records reported on this particular USR. Now we are going to edit a loss record and update it to reflect the current second report values. Select the Edit button to the left of the claim you wish to edit. A new window will then open where you can make the change to the loss record. After you have made the necessary change, select the Save button. You can also add a new loss from this screen. Now that we've updated the loss record, let's move on to the Totals tab. In the Totals tab, you may select Edit to update the USR's totals Or you may select the Update Totals button, and UDM will calculate and update the USR's totals for you. Please note that using the Update Totals button will update all totals, including exposure totals, if applicable. If you choose to edit and enter totals yourself, please remember that all totals are cumulative, not just totals for the current USR. Now that we've finished creating our second report, we can validate and submit it. As we enter data into each field, UDM will edit your entries in real time. If a file number was identified, the data is cross-checked against the Bureau's internal systems in order to provide error information. The USR must have a status of validated prior to submission, and all critical errors must be cleared. The UDM review section lists all errors that exist for the policy term. UDM provides the error code and a brief description of the error and informs you what record the error is on with a link to the corresponding tab. Errors are color-coded according to the severity of the error. Each tab of the USR displays all errors on the USR. For some errors, a quick fix will be provided. The quick fix will describe the desired action, and if you select the link, the USR will be corrected to fix the error. We will show an example of this later. To validate, select the Submit menu option and select Validate Unit. In order for a USR to be marked as validated, all critical errors must be cleared. There may be times when you, as the data provider, do not agree with the error shown. In this case, you must contact us so we can review further. In order to contact us regarding an error you are seeing, please use the inquiry button that can be found below the UDM review section. This button will to us, which will automatically include details of the particular USR. Each carrier will have a dedicated contact whose email address will also be pre-populated in the email. Once the status of the USR is validated, you are ready to submit the USR. One way to submit the USR is to go to the Submit menu and then select Submit Units. Another window will open and you will see the USR you wish to submit. Review the data provider fields and confirm the submission by selecting the Submit button at the bottom of the screen. The WC stat file is created by UDM and the file name is provided. After selecting Submit, a pop-up message will ask you to confirm that you want to submit these records now. Select Yes, Submit, and the file will be uploaded for processing. Note that once USRs are marked as submitted, they can no longer be edited. At this time, we will move on to editing a previously processed USR. The beauty of UDM is that you do not have to know the correction sequence number or the correction type code. UDM will automatically generate these fields when the USR is edited. Keep in mind that all USRs that have not been submitted, which include all saved and validated USRs, can be edited freely without creating a new correction. Any changes made to a processed USR will create a new correction report. To make a change to a previously processed USR, we first need to search for the USR. Let's search by entering the policy number. Select the magnifying glass to open the USR. For our example, we are going to create an exposure correction. First, we will navigate to the Exposure tab and select the Edit button next to the class code we would like to change. After selecting Edit, a pop-up message will ask you to confirm that you want to create a new correction. Select Yes. A new window will then open where you can make the change to the exposure record. After saving, you will notice that the screen indicates that a new correction sequence number 1 has been created for report level number 1. As with creating a new USR, the final step before submission is to validate. This time, we will validate using the button found within the Policy Key Fields area. The critical errors that we have created must be cleared before we can move on to submitting this correction. We will use the Quick Fix option to correct the critical errors. However, when using this option, we recommend that you review and confirm the action being completed before you execute it. Once the errors are fixed, we must validate the USR again. Now that the USR has the status of validated, there are also two places from where you can submit. In this case, as with Validate, we will submit from within the specific USR. Select the Submit button, and you will see the USR you wish to submit. Review the data provider fields and confirm the submission by selecting the Submit button at the bottom of the screen. After selecting Submit, a pop-up message will ask you to confirm that you want to submit these records now. Select Yes, Submit, and the file will be uploaded for processing. Note that once the USR is marked as submitted, it can no longer be edited. Now that you know how to create new USRs and correction reports, you will need to know what you must do to correct a rejected USR. As previously stated, if a USR contains critical errors, it will be rejected and considered missing. You have three options to address these. 1. Use the UDM application to edit the rejected USR until the USR no longer contains critical errors. 2. Submit a correction to the rejected USR using the next consecutive correction sequence number, and UDM will evaluate and accept both reports if the cumulative result of both reports does not contain critical errors. Or 3. Use UDM to delete the rejected report and then submit a USR with the same report and correction sequence numbers as the rejected and deleted USR. Note, Pennsylvania and Delaware do not accept replacement reports using the replacement report code on the header record. We have already covered the search option and will now move on to the other menu options. We have already covered the search option and will now move on to the other menu options. Using the Import menu, UDM allows for importing a WC stat file to enter a group of USRs into UDM at one time. When importing a file into UDM, be sure that the file is named correctly. UDM utilizes the same file naming convention as CDX. An error will be shown if the correct file name is not used. File name parameters can be found on the Import File screen. Use the Browse button to select the file you want to import, then select Upload. After importing a file, UDM will validate the USRs and you will have the opportunity to edit them before submission. Now we will look at the Prior Imports option. Although we do not have any prior imports to show you today, you can view information associated with any files you previously imported. If you select the View icon next to a file, UDM will display the associated USRs and the file processing information. Now let's move on to submitting a file. UDM allows you to select a WC stat file to upload and submit for processing. Use the Browse button to select the file you want to submit, then select Upload. You can also submit more than one validated USR at a time by selecting the Submit Units option. Another window will open, and you must select the state and carrier and then select the validated transactions that you want to include in your submission. Once you select the desired transactions, you should review the data provider fields and confirm the submission by selecting the Submit button at the bottom of the screen. In the Prior Submit screen, you can view information associated with any files that were previously submitted. If you select the View icon next to a file, UDM will display the associated USRs and their statuses. Another useful tool within UDM is the Reports area. UDM generates reports related to processing results, error-related statistics, and class code statistics for each carrier group, as well as a link to the carrier's contact information that is on file. We cannot view these today because there is not enough process test data loaded to generate the reports. However, we encourage you to check these out. You can reference the user guide located in the Help menu for additional details on each of the options under the Reports menu. Last but not least is the Help section. Within Help, you will find your user preferences, the UDM user guide, a history of changes to the application, a listing of all valid class codes and error messages, along with links to the WCIO record layout and to email central support for technical assistance. The first option is User Preferences. Within Preferences, you have the ability to change your column settings and defaults for search results, change your contact information for reminders about saved USRs, and also reset your sidebars in case you have closed them and wish to have them restored. You can reference the user guide for details on each of the other options under the Help menu. This brings us to the end of our UDM demonstration. If you have any questions or comments, please remember to submit them via email to centralsupport@pcrb.com. We would like to thank you for viewing this demonstration. Have a great day.